Morning, everyone. This is Grace Stevens, and I'm so excited that you're here joining me on the first episode of Mornings with Grace. I'm really excited to be doing this first live with a real live interview, who you'll meet my good friend Lori Diamond in a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about a number of things. The title of this episode is called Music Hath Charms. Back a few years ago, when I wrote my first book, I had a preface in it where I tried to explain that music hath charms, that for so much of my life, I was stuck and I was not able to get in touch with my feelings. I couldn't articulate them, I couldn't express them. The only way I knew I had feelings was via music. And when I wrote my book, my memoir, I realized that music and songs allowed me and my parts to travel to places and help me process feelings that I struggled with in most of my waking moments. In my book, I use songs, titles, lyrics throughout it, and it helps convey and set a background to help you get a sense of my journey. I wonder how many people who are watching out there actually have a similar experience where they're not even sure what they're feeling until they hear the song. And then that song sticks right up in your head and you know how to express it. And it's such a learning experience. It's such an inspirational experience. And I'm really so excited because Lori, who you're going to meet soon, has done so many songs that have helped me come in touch with my feelings and allowed me to make the choices and decisions to take the next step in my life. If this is something that you experience too, I'd love to hear it. Feel free to send comments. Hopefully we'll be able to get them, but it's going to be a very busy morning. Now, today is September 11th, and I just really want to honor what September 11th means. Personally, 18 years ago, when I saw what was going on, I was wondering who was going to be impacted by it. The next day, I learned that I had a cousin that was in the towers and we lost her. It was one of the hardest days of my life. I went to New York a few weeks later and my family helped bury an empty casket. I cannot tell you how hard it is and how difficult this day and this anniversary is for me. It's a little bit confusing for me to start this new project of Mornings with Grace and still honor the memory of my cousin and the memory of the over 3,000 people who died on that day. This little meme that I have on screen with me right now, I think is one of the best ways to remember the day. And it says, even the smallest act of service, the simplest act of kindness, is a way to honor those we lost and a way to reclaim that spirit of unity that followed 9/11. For the first couple of years, it was hard for me to get through the day. Last night, I had trouble sleeping. I don't know whether it was that 9/11 was coming up or I was excited, or perhaps I was holding all of that in my hands. But it was really true to do that. So I hope that you too can do some small act of service and small act of kindness today in memory of what happened 18 years ago. For those who've been watching the previews, you know that I like to use background pictures of where I travel. For those who know me, you know that I'm a biker, and also a year ago, I moved up to an electric bike. This past Sunday, I took part in the bike ride that was called the Flattest Century in the East. I did not do a century, which would be a 100-mile ride, but I did ride 57 miles. That was the upside. The downside is my battery in my bike ran out of power 2 miles from the end, and it was a lot of work and a lot of struggle in order to do that. But I finished it and I was excited. You can see the back of my jersey here that says Grace's Rescue Riders. And it says riding with gratitude and a big heart. A year ago, my best friends made those shirts up, and the three of us have that on the ride. And it's just like a wonderful experience, and we get to tell a lot of stories about what does Grace Rescue Riders mean. So when I tell about it, I said, I'm Grace, and I couldn't finish a ride one day, and my friends rescued me. But my buddies and I, we take turns rescuing each other. And if we see somebody stopped on the road, we will stop and we will help them. But it's just three of us that have these unique jerseys. So I just wanted to share what that background was with everybody. Give me a second. I'm going to change the background a little bit and go back to a more calming area there. So I like this bog. This is a cranberry bog that's there. One more thing before I introduce the guest. For people who are new, I want to remind you or introduce you what the themes of Mornings with Grace is all about. It's actually, I have 9 themes which are grouped in 3 groups of 3, but it sounds complicated, but it's really very simple. We'd love to talk about inspiration, imagination, and magic. And when I talk about magic, magic is your very own special quality. It's what only you have. You might know it, you may not know it. You may freely give it away, people may recognize it in you, but it's really who you are and what makes you what you are. There's also joy, gratitude, and authenticity, and this means allowing joy in your life and expressing gratitude and living authentically. And the whole purpose of the programs are to help you get unstuck. And when you get unstuck, you'll be willing to take your very next first step. And when you're willing, even if you do not know where this may lead you, you may get some wonderful unintended solutions. Honestly, I don't know where this program is going to lead me. I don't know who's going to see it, who it may have an impact to, but I believe just the fact that I've taken the step to make this happen, there'll be unintended solutions for me and possibly for you. And I hope that's true. So, now I am just so excited. I am going to introduce you to Lori Diamond, who has changed my life with her music. She's a musician, she's spiritual, she's a medium. She has so many things that she does, and I am so happy to introduce you. I'm going to switch screens now, and we're going to meet Lori Diamond. Hey, Lori, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm terrific. How are you?
I'm good. I'm putting your sound way up here. Let's see if we can do that. Yeah.
I'll go right up to my microphone. How's that?
That sounds a little bit better, so I hope everybody can hear you. So, there. Welcome to Mornings with Grace. I'm so excited. I know that you have been one of the people who were willing to give me a blurb on my first book, and now you're my first guest on Mornings with Grace. So, thank you so much.
Well, it's an honor and a pleasure. My goodness, this is so exciting, and I'm excited for you. And so what a wonderful thing to be a part of this new creation and this new swirl of creativity and inspiration. I mean, it's a joy. So thank you for the invitation.
There we go. We're allowing joy right in our lives right now. I love that. That's fabulous. I have met you 10 years ago when a classmate introduced me to you. And it's really a little bit sad on my part that I've lost the connection with my classmate, but I feel that I have this great connection with you. And over the years, I think that I've watched now 3 different albums come out, and each song has been so meaningful to me and so inspiring to me. And I know that's only one part of your life, but I so wonder, where does your inspiration for all these songs come from? Where does that, is this something that is just pops into your brain, your mind, or is this like, all deeply planned out? Or, when I write, sometimes the words come out of my fingers. How do you create your music?
Wow. All right. That's a great question. Well, generally, I mean, some people have a real process as to how they will sit down and write a song or a poem or any kind of presentation. But personally, I enjoy being in a space where I can be in tune with pure inspiration. If I'm able to just be in a joyful place of receiving and feel like that I could actually channel whatever comes and let it flow. I think it's so important just to get your vibration in the right place before you even, or if actually it's a wonderful exercise to raise your vibration, to start writing and just get yourself on a rampage of appreciation. But anyway, so my own process is generally, if I'm inspired by something that I witnessed, something that I'm feeling, every song that I'm creating definitely has a place in my own life or in a life of someone close to me that I've witnessed, experienced, felt. I haven't written about subjects I don't know about because I really want to connect not only with myself so I can write something authentically, but so I can present it in a way that those who I'm connecting with can feel what I'm conveying. So I'm literally making an energetic connection to them through the music and the words. And because you do the same thing, through your.
Well, I know how your songs connect to me, and it just comes inside of me, and it's the songs, both the music and the vocals, really have energy involved that take over my body and my mind and take me to a different place, a place that both relaxes me, energizes me, and allows me to say, yes, I can do something new.
I love that. I'm going to quote you on that. Let me write that down.
We have it recorded.
Right, we do. Well, the great thing about that is also clearly you're a sensitive being, somebody who is a very mindful listener of music. But that is exactly it. That is how we make that human connection. We're opening our hearts and we're connecting through the words, through the sound, through the vibration that is conveyed, through the intention of what has been created. And it's not from me. I mean, I'm receiving it from spirit and I'm just putting it out there and seeing who's attracted to it. And that's how you know who your tribe is, right? And they will appear when you put it out there.
And that's the unintended solutions, because you're doing what you're passionate about. You're doing what you need to do, and there are oftentimes you don't know what's driving that. And as you said, you are channeling, right?
Exactly.
And the idea is, and there's a sense, at least I have this sense that I believe that by doing this, it will have some good impact on someone, and I may never know that. Is that something similar that you have?
That's exactly it. You know that, you will continue to know that throughout your lifetime, the ripple effect that you're sending out that you never even know in the beginning. And then years later, people will come up to you, for instance, and tell you, oh, Grace, chapter 5 of your book, just hit me so hard and reframed my whole way of thinking. You changed my life. You didn't even know it. And so the same thing can be said with a song that's delivered directly to the heart and that people are feeling and relating to, and it evokes and activates something in them that they may have never even considered. And it can be a life-changing moment, just like a passage from a book. A song is the same way, and it really can create a shift in someone's life in the most unexpected way.
So what's coming to mind for me right now is that I find myself, and I laugh often because I'm an engineer by training, and I've never written, and then 5 years ago I've started to write, and I find that this is channeled. I think I know what I'm going to do. I sit by the computer and what I thought isn't happening, but words are coming out of my fingers. And it's going, where'd that come from and what that do? But what I really kind of think is that I I suspect that many people, even if they're not writers, even if they're not musicians or songwriters and singers, that at some point in their life they have this experience where something can come through them and they have an impact on others. And they may, it may happen and they may let it go. But I know in the conversation that I had with you before, the idea is when that happens, how can we, you know, ask people to say, let that happen, let that flow happen, be open to that flow.
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point. That what you just touched upon, the paradox is that it's even the tiniest gestures that can open someone up and reveal something in themselves that they never even knew about, right? And so even just one little word or thought that can be so simple to you might change someone's entire day and entire outlook. I mean, and you might be a part of pivoting someone's entire life and not even knowing it. And I think that through being authentic and kind and respectful, that we do that so much more than we ever know. And we affect, I mean, that's how we are all connected. We affect each other in the most simple, unexpected ways. You know, and the paradox is that it doesn't have to be this giant moment where you're hitting somebody over the head. A tiny, kind gesture can raise someone up and make them see things in an entirely different way.
Yeah, I think that's so true. So this is really a powerful conversation that we're having, and I hope other people may be able to hear this and say, I remember that time. And I'd like to experience that once again. And I think we'll both say, yes, go for it. Let it happen. Be open to it.
Yes. Well, what I will share, candidly, if I may, when you and I met at Great Brook Farms all those years ago at our Chakra Fest, so you and I were standing at a table and we were just looking at the CDs, and you held my CD. And you introduced yourself, and you offered me a haiku.
Yes.
At that moment. And I thought to myself, gee, you know, no one's ever done that, and that's really interesting. But
I am so astounded you remember that.
Absolutely, I remember that. So, well, and I'm going to tell you why I remember that, because it's those moments, if we pay attention, we recognize each other. We recognize, this is a soul's recognition. And that is why connections are made. If you just pay attention and sit and just be open to that and take a breath and realize the familiarity of the person's heart who you just have been introduced to. You just, I know you. I know you. You don't know it yet, but you know me too.
So I have this talk show here, and I'm speechless right now.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun, though, right? I mean, that's the way it happens. That's an activation in the moment. That's soul's recognition, you know?
Wow, and that is amazing. I'd like to change topics a little bit.
Please.
There's so much more. What other things are you involved with, and what other things are you doing? So what's really interesting is that I know you as a musician and a songwriter, and I know that, you know, that's one piece of you, okay? And I'd love to learn more about you, of what are the joys in your life, what are the challenges in your life, if you're willing to share them. And again, we have some time, so again, what you're comfortable with and sharing with me and with whoever's watching. I think, you know, I find you as a very inspirational person, and this conversation just enhances that. But I think it's really important to know that people who might inspire you are still just people. And we have to get through our days and our nights, and we go through our lives, and to understand who we really are as a person, as a whole person, can help others. in there. And that's what I'm hoping to do in these interviews. So I'm going to just leave it to you to say, what would you like to share about who's Lori Diamond and how did she get to be this inspirational person?
Wow. Okay. Well, that is a big one. So
open-ended questions.
And it's open. All right. Well, yes, you do know me first and foremost as a musician, and that is, of course, a big part of what I do and who I am, and as a creator, that is one of my biggest inspirations in this lifetime, and I believe, I mean, I of course do it for myself as a form of expression, because I'm compelled to, I can't help it, and it's always been that way. And when it touches and helps me connect with other beings, then that's a beautiful gift. I mean, that's a wonderful joy. There's nothing better when somebody tells me that they felt what I was expressing. I mean, it's just a beautiful way of connecting. But, so the music has been with me all my life. I have musical parents, musical family, and it's just, you know, it's in the DNA, and it's absolutely one of my main passions in life. My true passion in life is being a mother, and that is like a song in itself that never ends. and music, all my children are musical, and we share music in so many different ways, and it's just such a wonderful way to connect with people. But being a mother really is so transformative, and it makes you see things in such a different way. I mean, I know as a younger person, as an Aries young woman, I really lived that archetype of, you know, making careless choices and not being sensitive, coming from a place that was self-centered and young and, you know, just growing, you know, needing a lot of growth. And believe me, I had my share of experiences that plummeted me toward growth that I wasn't expecting. But that said, I think to transcend an archetype, like an Aries woman, for instance, somebody who's kind of self-absorbed but very passionate and selfish in ways, I think having children just helps you. You can't help but to be transformed. You can't help but to transcend limitations, because compassion and your perspective, it just opens up so massively, you know, and it makes you. Oh, is that you? Is that me? Oh, sorry.
I live in the runway to Hanscom Field. Those are planes above.
Dare to dream. All right. Yeah. Wonderful. So, anyway, I feel like I've come a long way with my perspective and my evolution as a human being. Of course, that's going to be lifetimes long, of course, but I think I've finally come to a place to be happy with who I am, and I appreciate that. And like you and so many, I mean, like everybody, you come to a point in your life where you must live with authenticity. There really is no choice. There's no point in staying here and playing out this game without living your truth, right? That sounds familiar. And my children have made me examine my truth and see that I'm so much more than I thought I was, and then my capacity to love and to be compassionate and to see things beyond my own limited perspective. It's just, you can't help but to be transformed, especially having children who have unique challenges and gifts that require a great deal of energy. You just can't help but to evolve in a way. I'm evolving in a way, I'm just going to say, that I'm happy with. And I'm going to keep going. But I have a great team here. I have my partner in crime and music and life is Fred Abatelli, and he is such a blessing, such an unusual being, and an example of a true soul's reunion on this. Oh my heavens! I mean, That's a whole nother show. I can go on about my man, but
Well, maybe we'll get him on.
maybe we'll get him on because he's
Yeah.
a very interesting, wonderful healer and a powerful being and a great musician and, really an interesting person. So yes, you would probably enjoy that, as would he. So, I'm sorry. So maybe you want to redirect me because I started yapping away.
No, that was great rapping. So again, the idea is that you're evolving and you're happy with who you're becoming, and you're letting go of whoever you may have been, and whether that was ever true for you or not may or may not matter. But the idea is you're finding the truth and the true you in this present moment, and that's what you're working with.
That's what I'm working with. And I think getting to a point where I can forgive myself for being such a young, silly person who made poor choices and was insensitive, and careless with people's feelings and had perspectives that were not of depth. And it's a process, and I think just having the contrast in emerging from that through powerful lessons, powerful, painful lessons, many of them, it feels right. It feels like, just, you got to trust the path, whatever that may be.
I thank you for sharing that with us. And, when you say you've learned to forgive yourself, one of the really important lessons that I've learned on my journey from different teachers was it's not only that you learn to forgive yourself, but you learn to forgive the judgment of yourself.
Ooh,
because
yes.
We have parts that hold on to judgment, and those parts think they're doing something good for you. And the idea is you also have to forgive those parts of you that may judge you, that said you were a bad person for doing that. So it's forgiving yourself for judging yourself is really the way I have learned. I didn't create this. I have learned this, and it's really the way I have learned to kind of work with forgiveness and to try to do that myself. And I know when I get stuck, those parts that are judging me take over.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And really, the process, as what I've learned as basically getting trained in internal family systems therapy, is these parts can blend with us, take us over, but we have to separate them and really help them heal and help them get to do the things they really want to do, because they don't want to do those things. And they want to be happy and play, and they don't have to do those jobs of judging yourself. But that's a whole nother story on what to do that.
That's really profound, though. I mean, because who doesn't judge themselves, So.
Would you be willing to, yesterday you told me about this chorus that you created with your kids, and I'd love you to share some more of that, both the challenges you've had, but the joy of getting it done.
Absolutely. So, yes, this is called the Unified Singing Club, and this is at the high school that my kids all attend. And the thing about, so high school is hard enough as it is, right? Oh my heavens. And insert competition into that. I mean, competition, we won't get into this, but I'm not a fan of competition. I'm a fan of collaboration. So let me put it that way. So anyway, my daughter Annalise is passionate about singing. Passionate about that. I wonder how that happened. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So
it's that DNA, yeah.
It's in the DNA, right? And Annalise is a very joyful being with very powerful challenges and learning differences, and her limitations, perceived limitations, do not get her down. And so that said, she really didn't have the skill set that the high school was looking for in the highly competitive school, after-school choruses and elite groups. But of course, she wanted to be a part of it because, hey, I love to sing. What's the problem, right? This is my passion. So Annalise and I discussed what we could do about that. And she decided that we needed to have a unified singing club that embraced everyone's gifts, no matter what they brought, whether they were verbal or not, or whether they were just appreciating music. The main thing that you needed to be in this club was to be kind. That's really all you need. And to love music and want to create with others. So Annalise manifested that. She had that powerful desire, and she put it out there. We needed a music director. I happen to know one. So, actually, I would have gotten somebody else, but this was Annalise's highest joy, and I needed to help her manifest that. And together, with the help of Best Buddies, which is an amazing organization, at Algonquin High School, we now have, going on our third year, this is called the Unified Singing Club. It's the first non-competitive singing club that they've had. And we sing everywhere from local coffee houses to libraries to school functions to the Special Olympics to unified sports games. I mean, it's phenomenal. And they do it all with so much joy. That's what we bring. We don't deliver music as much as we deliver joy. I mean, it's such a beautiful group of beings who are so kind to each other, so compassionate, so patient and understanding. And these are kids of all abilities. These are neurotypical kids with learning differences, and all walks of life are welcome, whether you have a voice or not. You are welcome to come and co-create music with us. And finally, last year, the girls expressed that they wanted to be a part of the biggest musical event that our school has at the end of the year. It's called Pops Night. It's the whole music department. It's all the musicians of Algonquin High School. So, well, pretty fun, right? Sounds great. So, naturally, I went right to the music department and expressed our desire to be included, because inclusion is the way it is. Catch the wave. Inclusion is the way it is. So, of course, when I presented the idea, I got a big no. And because there's a certain standard that they want to present, and they win awards and they compete and they do all that stuff. It's a wonderful music program. But it's not inclusive. By default, if you're competing, you are not inclusive. So, needless to say, myself and all the members of the club and all of their parents of the club and all of the parents of Best Buddies and the parents in the special ed community understood the importance of shaking the false paradigm that this department was trying to present. That this group was not worthy nor capable of participating in this elite function. So, with a great deal of support, a great deal of meetings, conversations with principals, a little bit of, a lot of discomfort. That's how change is created. Got to buck the system a little bit. But we finally got there. We just opened the curtain, and they agreed to let us share a song with another group. And let me tell you, you've never seen a bigger standing ovation than you did that night at Pops Night, when the Unified Singers did their thing. And everything from sign language to movement and singing with the biggest smiles you ever saw. And this was, it doesn't seem like much to some people, but it was such a huge day for anybody who has ever felt excluded. So we got in, and we not only got in, but they were celebrated with such tremendous joy, and it was a miracle to even believe that. It's just astonishing to believe that there ever was a point that they weren't going to be allowed to be in there, because why not? Everybody loved it, and this inclusion is just, it's not something that's debatable. So we did it.
and you did it. And I so love hearing that story you shared with me yesterday, and I'm just tickled inside. And it's something that I relate to in that in elementary school, I was one of those kids who got to sit in the corner as a non-singer.
Oh,
So I was not allowed to open my mouth during singing class, during music class. There were three or four of us that were there, and I've had that label on me my entire life of doing that. A couple of years ago, when I was doing some improv classes, I did a monologue that I called the trauma of the non-singer.
oh,
And,
wow.
I've had that one label on me that through all the changes and everything I've done in my life and coming to terms with that, I still think of myself as this non singer. It's like only in the shower where nobody can hear me and the water's running do I let loose. But I can't carry a tune. I used to play in orchestra in high school, but I'm kind of tone deaf. I can't tell notes from one to the other. And like when I find people that have perfect pitch and know notes and can sing, it's like I'm in awe, I'm jealous. It's something that I wish I had. So I get what you're saying and what you're providing to people who are told they can't, or they're not allowed, or they're whatever reasons they can do that. So I really totally appreciate what you're doing for these people and how this way you're changing the world. So it's you're giving so much of yourself to make that happen, and it just gives me goosebumps to hear that story, and
Oh,
and I just love that. And again, the idea of knowing you more and what is important to you, and that's just kind of lovely. May I ask you a little bit that you also do some spiritual work,
that's
right?
right.
Can you
That's
share
right.
with everybody like where that came from and what are you doing and your challenges with that and what joy it may bring you now?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Again, you're great with the questions. You got lots of them. They
Yeah.
keep coming. That makes you a great interviewer. Um, yes. So, wow, that's amazing. So, well, when I was a youngster, about 11 years old, my dad transitioned to non-physical, and that was, of course, very painful for our family. You know, three young kids and my mom, and that was very traumatic for us. We watched it happen. It was very, very tragic. And but as hard as that was, I had an innate feeling. I knew he wasn't gone. And so when I'd be walking home from school on those dark fall afternoons when it's dark at like 4 o'clock, and I used to be afraid because I used to walk by this big stretch of woods called Sewell Woods in Melrose, and I'd feel afraid. And then all of a sudden I'd be aware that my father was walking right next to me. And and then I just would chat with him the whole way home. And that would just keep me occupied enough not to be afraid, and I knew he was there, and that was just the beginning. I mean, I never stopped the conversation. We just always he's always been there for me. In fact, one thing he said to me one time is that I can be a much better father to you from here. And and that was such a profound realization to me that we really don't lose anybody ever. I mean, this is just this game that we're playing, and nobody's lost. They're just tuned into a different channel. And through tuning your vibration up, you really can reach anyone. And anyway, so I just did this kind of quietly, and I also had a very strong connection with my animals. I really felt like I could communicate with them And I didn't tell people about that because I told one friend and she told me I was cuckoo, and that was, but, I'd get plenty of that throughout my life, of course. But so as I continued along, I still was drawn to spiritual subjects, and just through many powerful lessons of just life lessons of loss and some serious challenges over the years, I started to realize how much comfort there was in just keeping the conversation alive with those we love. That should really never stop, because they're only a thought away. They're always accessible to us. And it just started to develop this through dreams and then through hearing things. And then I started to really understand that the music that I was bringing forward was not just my own, it was channeled. I was drawing inspiration, and I was working with a whole entourage of creators who were having a blast creating with a physical being. I mean, it's so much more than just little old Laurie Diamond here in her living room. It's being tapped in and tuned in and ready to receive, right? So not only through the music, but through dreams. And as a musician, sometimes you'll find musicians can be clairaudient and will hear messages from those beyond the veil. And that just all started, it just naturally kind of fell into place, and I would always continue conversations, and there was a lot of death throughout my life. I mean, many people transitioned to non-physical over the course of my life, and the ability to be able to continue the conversation with them was so comforting. I mean, of course, I'm still a human being, and I miss to be able to just go see somebody physically, but to be able to receive them and receive their frequency and feel them in my heart and receive impressions is so comforting, and they're my greatest teachers. I mean, and they see things from such a greater perspective. So I've learned so much, and I'm always learning. With every single reading that I do, I'm learning something new, and I'm receiving the loving vibrations that are being exchanged among, whether it's my client and their loved one. I mean, there's just a swirling vibration of love that's around all of us, and it's just a reminder how we are all connected. So you asked what the challenges were with this. I've been in touch with spirit most of my life, but I really didn't feel comfortable being forthcoming with it. Just programming in our society, folks who were judgmental with suggesting somehow that it was non-Christian or the devil's work, or somehow I was tapping into something other than source, something that wasn't benevolent. But how could that be? Right. It's just, especially when you're delivering messages of hope and love and inspiration and healing, and your intention is totally pure. And so, but ultimately, it was just hard to keep it in, and a thing or two about that. Once again, it was one facet of myself that I was not being authentic with. I was not sharing it with the world. And it wasn't until I was ready, it's through the support of Fred, my loving partner in life, in many lifetimes. He just said, why aren't you sharing your gifts? Why? You could help so many people, and it's just your inner circle who's benefiting from this. Why don't you just be you? And it's like, be you. Yeah. That's a novel idea. But when I decided to just open up and let that truth free, I felt so expanded and so free. I know you are relating on so many levels, Grace. And I just felt like, okay, I'm just going to speak the language that I speak, my spirit speak, and I'm just going to let it go, and I'm going to let it fly, and I'm going to be free, because that is an important facet of who I am. And not only that, I mean, clearly, I'm able to receive in this way so I can help people. And if I'm open about it, then people will come and I can help. I mean, I will always try to help. There's no guarantees, of course. That's my disclaimer. But my intention is always to connect and to heal and help people feel relief in the moment. And that's what it's all about. It's just a reminder that nobody's ever alone, that everybody's always supported, and everybody has an entourage, and everybody is lifted if you just pay attention. You will see the signs.
Thank you for sharing that. When I hear that, and again, the experience that I think is common to us is that we hide because we believe if people saw our authentic selves, we'd be rejected. And that's a paradox. We won't show ourselves because we'll be rejected, but we're rejecting ourselves in that process.
Ooh, yeah.
And when we let ourselves out, okay, it really attracts. It doesn't send away. People that aren't going to be part of it are not the people that you're meant to be there with or to be there for. And when I talk of that, I'm gonna use that time. We're running a little bit at a time. We could probably go on for hours like this. But I do want to go through my little list of 5 questions, but you've already talked about what is some of your magic? What are some of your special qualities? So I'm going to put up, instead of looking at me, I'm going to put up the questions, and let's see if how you might be able to respond if you can, and if you're willing to do that.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah.
The questions. So when you think about what is your magic, what is your special qualities that you have? Where do you go with that?
I think one of my greatest gifts, again, it has come through an evolution of lessons, is compassion. And through having children is compassion, and I'm a peace-seeking person, and I feel like my perspective is so much more broad than it ever was, and my desire to connect with other people, I mean, just having positive intentions, going through life, wanting what's good, and not being just self-serving, but in service to others is so meaningful, and such, it just gives your life a whole different way of playing out, and so I think the best magic you can have is kindness.
Yes. Yeah.
Because everybody benefits from it, and it ripples endlessly. So
do you believe it's recognized by others?
I do believe it's recognized by others. I feel that because it's reciprocated, and yeah. I think I am surrounded by a tribe of really lovely, kind, thoughtful people. And sure, I run into the occasional person who might, get my hackles up a little bit, but, again, I'm just a person. So, but I think generally, I think when you look around you and you see that you have a lovely tribe, that's a reflection of who you become.
Right. And I think you've already shared the answer. Next one, what the impact is there on you? So, it's you're just, I've heard you say that you're just much more happy and enjoy with yourself and allowing this to be the way you express yourself in the world.
Absolutely true. It's wonderful to go forward and just, my goodness grace, look who I'm talking to. Just to be yourself and just not to be hiding anything, and just to speak the words you want to speak and not be afraid you're going to be judged or rejected. You will attract who you will attract, and that's the way it goes. So you got to be at peace with that.
And I'm wondering if this is a big one. So by doing this, by being true to yourself with that magic of kindness and compassion, have you experienced any unintended solutions that you had no idea where this may lead, but that something great, wonderful happened?
Well, I feel like going back to this unified singing club we were talking about,
Yeah.
I mean, that started as just a tiny seed, and what I didn't realize the magnitude of how important it was, even though it's such a small scale, it's just one school, but these are beautiful beings, and I mean, the girls and all the kids who are involved with it, their self-worth and who they're going to be throughout their life.
Yeah.
I mean, so much of that is just being recognized and being celebrated for who they are. And as you and I talked about, I'm not an advocate of accepting people. I'm an advocate of celebrating
Right.
everyone, because everyone has gifts. And I think that the unexpected, unintended solution, it provided them a place to really be authentic, be joyful, be safe, not be judged, and to express themselves with complete reckless joy.
I'm hearing seeds of a song there, Lori.
I think you might be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
Um,
it.
I love that. So,
Oh my
is there
goodness.
is there anything else you might want to add or share with this? Because I think our time's kind of running out a little bit.
Well, I really appreciate this opportunity to share and co-create this moment with you. I mean, this is just a launching pad for the next step for Grace. So that's super exciting. So thank you. It is my honor and pleasure. And if people want to connect with me, and whether it's my music
Yep.
or if they are wanting mediumship or energy healing,
Yep.
you can go to lauriediamond.com or ldfamusic.com. And
And those are right above your head on this whole program. So
fabulous,
people can
fabulous.
see it and get in touch with you. And at LDFA Music, if they're interested in your music, they can get it there.
That's right. We have recordings and all our shows are listed there.
Yeah.
And, we can get music out to you anytime. And despite my glamorous appearance, I'm very approachable. So,
She is, and it's all great, and everything that she said. I can't believe she remembered the haiku from 10 years ago, um,
yes.
but it's just amazing. So I know what we're gonna do right now. I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna start playing Om, one of your songs, then switch screens, and then basically you hang on. I'll see you after this. The program will continue and play through that song for a few minutes. But I profusely thank you for sharing
Thank
so
you.
much of yourself with me over the last decade and here on this program.
Well, it's
So,
my honor to be your friend
and
again on this
yes,
lifetime, and I
yes.
honor you and thank you for this wonderful invitation. And you go, girls, no stopping you.
Thank you so much. And
Thank
we're
you.
gonna let's see what we've got here.